Hey guys, Demoman here, and a little bit later than usual. Sorry about that. Right, let's move on to Aegis Dynamics. Right, so Aegis Dynamics in the early days was the backbone of the military, well, the human military, and after a lot of bad publicity and, you know, diplomatic stuff going on, the UEE decided to switch towards Anvil Aerospace and RSI instead of using Aegis Dynamics to shake off that bad rap. So, what we're going to do now is talk about Aegis Dynamics ships and what they do, what might be the best choice for you. Okay, right, let's get started here, and we'll start off with fighters. So let's start off with the Gladius, the short-range patrol fighter. So the Gladius is it's a pretty good fighter. It's pretty rugged. It has decent fuel time. It's a bit of an aging ship though. It's pretty old in terms of, like its service and stuff, as all Aegis ships are. So yeah, the thing is with Aegis ships is they've been around for quite a while, but they're built to such a good quality that they're going to be around for a whole lot longer. So they're being sold to the civilians of Star Citizen to try and make up some profit and stuff on all these hulls that the factories would have and stuff like that they've had to adapt for civilian use. Then I'd recommend you the Gladius. It's a good selection. It's a good ship, sorry. But yeah, let's now move on to, here we go, one of the Vanguards here. So the Vanguard is a decent ship. That's the Vanguard Warden. The Vanguard Warden is a decent ship as a fighter. I mean, it's a bit of a big one. In my opinion, it's a large target. It's got a good gunner's position. It's a long-range fighter, so it's got two crew positions, so one for you and one for your gunner, so you have a couple of bunks. So that's pretty decent. So it means you can log off in deep space and your ship will whatever, your account will save there. Because that's how it's going to work in the full game. That's how beds will be being used or something like that. I heard Christopher Roberts mention it in a 10 for the chairman. Right, so that's the Vanguard Warden. It's a long-range fighter. I'd recommend it, but it's not my first choice personally. I think it's, I don't know, it's a bit over the top for what it is. I mean, if you want to go for a fighter that's got air superiority and you don't want to muck around with having a gunner, go with a Saber. It may not be as long range, but the Saber has got 4 times the firepower. It's got better armor, better speed, all around. It's a better ship. Now, you might think, oh, but, the Saber is not as good as the Vanguard. Well, that's not true, because in terms of actual gameplay, the Saber is a monster. It's the king of the dogfighting world. I mean, more than any times, if you go into the PU right now, you dare shoot at someone in a Saber. And if they're packing it right, and they've been using it a while, you're going to be in some real trouble. It doesn't matter what ship you're flying, you're going to need to get out of there quick, and if he chases you, it's going to be a bad time. Right, so let's move on to the more specialized vehicles that Aegis do. So we'll move on to the Avenger Titan. So that's a light cargo hauler inside a fighter. So if you want a extremely light cargo hauler, like maybe make a little profit here and there, and still have fighting capabilities, I'd go with that. It's a decent one. We'll now go on to the the Avenger Stalker, the Aegis Avenger Stalker. Now this one is for you bounty hunters out there. It's an interceptor / bounty hunting craft. It actually mounts prison cells in its cargo hold instead of cargo, which means the cargo you'll be bringing in are, criminals. So you don't have to kill them, so you can make more profit on them by bringing them in alive. So Avenger Stalker, take note of that, guys, if you're a bounty hunter. It's one to watch. And it's pretty cheap too, so I mean that would be the perfect ship for you to start your bounty hunting career with. Right, let's move on now to the Avenger Warlock. The Avenger Warlock is your EMP craft. It's basically the best way to take out a ship without doing basically damage to it, without blowing up the engines and killing the crew or whatever. Use an Avenger Warlock. You EMP them and you can shut down that ship for a small period of time. Or when it's implemented properly, but that's the idea. Pretty good EMP craft. Okay, so what else do we have here? We have the Retaliator base. Now the Retaliator is basically a bomber, but the Retaliator base is with the bomb bay removed with nothing in there. So you can replace it with a cargo module, or personnel module and that sort of stuff, so you could turn it into a mobile command base if you really wanted to, and you're looking for, say if you have a relatively small group of guys, maybe you're like a bounty hunting team or a raider group, and you need that HQ, go with the Retaliator base, because you can equip it for, you know, like multiple crew and stuff, and you can have like a meeting area in the middle, and you can discuss your strategy and your plans and use it as a mobile operating base. So it's a good one, the Retaliator base, for that sort of purpose. Also, back to E-Warfare quickly, the Vanguard Sentinel is pretty decent at this. This is where the Vanguard starts to shine, is when it's in its unique roles. Like the Vanguard Sentinel, if you're looking for electronic warfare on a whole new level, this is the ship for you. It's quick, it's got 2 crew members, so one guy can focus on the electronic warfare while the other guy concentrates on flying and staying close to the target. It's pretty decent. We now move on to let's say a little bit bigger of a ship in terms of in versatility and stuff. We'll go on to the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer is massive. Its purpose is to salvage stuff. It's also it's a trade vessel, basically. You go out into deep space, you find wrecks and all sorts of other things, and you bring home those materials you found, and bingo, instant profit. And yeah, it's pretty good at that. The reason it's so big, though, people think, oh, the Reclaimer's huge, you know, it must have tons of cargo space. But in actuality, it's only got 5 crew space on board. I mean, it's bigger than a Polaris, well, longer than a Polaris, but it only houses 5 crew members, because majority of that ship is quite literally like a breaker's yard. It's got all of the equipment in there to turn like an M50 into a pile of scrap when it goes through the processors or whatever, like, you know, when you're tearing stuff apart. Also has a Swiss Army knife on the underside that's about the size of a Retaliator, which is hilarious. You use that to claw apart and cut away at bigger ships and, you know, chew them up and get the parts into the cargo hold or into the back part for processing or whatever. It's pretty sweet. I do like the Reclaimer. It's one of my favorites. Personally, I don't have one, but one day. Right, let's have a look at what else we have here. We have the Redeemer. Now, the Redeemer is pretty specialized. It's a gunship. It's what you're going to use to get your troops in and out of combat in a hurry. So, once you're done practicing in Star Marine, and the game's in a more complete state when the Redeemer's added, think of this being your Black Hawk helicopter for your, you know, SWAT Team 6 or whatever. This is what you're going to be using to get your specialist guys in and out of a situation. So yeah, the Redeemer gunship is pretty good for that. It's a troop transport vessel for a very small specialized team. Okay, so let's go to bombers quickly. So the Vanguard Harbinger it's pretty good. It mounts a couple of a couple of torpedoes and a missile turret, a actual missile turret on the roof. So the gunner gets to fire missiles. That's pretty sweet. I do like that. Yeah, the Vanguard Harbinger is good. It's got 2 crew. It's also got sleeping quarters, I think, on board as well. I can quickly check for you here. But yeah, it's got sleeping quarters aboard as well. So yeah, the Vanguard series all have living quarters, which makes them long-range craft. It's a long-range bomber, but if you're going for a long-range bomber, then you know what I'm gonna suggest, because if you've watched my channel before, you'll know which ship I'm talking about, and it's the Retaliator bomber. The Retaliator bomber is an anti-light capital ship. It's designed to take out any large vessel with ease, and then moving into the capital vessels, you're after your probably targets are going to be things like Polaris and damaged Idris ships moving around and that sort of stuff. But yeah, Retaliator bomber has some real kick-ass torpedoes on board it. It's got crew space for 5 people, well, 6 people, sorry. It's the bedding area as well, which is something that's pretty cool with this ship, is the beds are escape pods, which means, you know, in the event of a catastrophic failure, everyone has to hurry up to the front of the ship. The pilot can get in there with ease. One of the gunners is right above it. The other gunner can get in there too. The 3 people I'm more worried about are the people that are in the back of the ship, and maybe the engineer. They could all be in trouble trying to scramble from the back end of the ship into the front end of the ship, up the ladder, and into the escape pod. So take that in mind when using the Retaliator bomber. Don't put yourself in situations where you know you're very possibly gonna blow up. It's more of a stealth bomber. Like, you know, get in, shut down everything that's not like essential, and then fire your torpedoes on your target, and then get the hell out of Dodge. So yeah, Retaliator bomber is an amazing bomber. I'd highly recommend it to you guys. Okay, so what else do we have here? So we're probably gonna now move into the realm of the Redonkulus, and let's talk about the Idris, or the multiple Idris. So the Idris here, the Idris P and the Idris M. So the Idris P is a standard issue peacekeeping patrol craft. It doesn't have the it doesn't have this standard ship-to-ship gun, the huge railgun, but instead of having that, it actually has speed on its side. So if you're looking for a sporty Idris, I don't know why you would, but it's a civilian variant. Sorry. If you're looking for a sporty Idris, then this is the one for you. So yeah, Idris P frigate. So let's go on to the Idris M, which is your more of a fighting frigate. It's got the ship-to-ship gun. It means business. An Idris M shows up, and it's on pretty much. I mean, it can hold 3 fighters. It's what was it? 3 fighters on 1 medium ship. And yeah, it's got a pretty large crew. But the thing is with your Idris ships, please remember this. They're not simple to fly. It's not just simple as, oh, I'm just gonna fly this around like it's an constellation. It's gonna be so easy. No, because with this ship, you actually have to have someone dedicated to the role of plotting a course. It's like a traditional aircraft carrier from nowadays. It may have all the bells and whistles, but it's not going to be particularly fast. It's going to be a pain in the ass to move from A to B. And on top of that, the running costs of an Idris are going to be more than double that of a Polaris guaranteed, because the amount of upkeep these ships need is ridiculous. So don't think you're going to be making a profit back on an Idris. Maybe if you're moving crap loads of cargo, but let's be honest. You're not going to use an Idris for moving cargo. I mean, you're going to be using this thing to punch a hole through the enemy fleet's lines, like drop off the fighters right into the heart of the action. So yeah, for all of you, it would be Idris captains, use your ships correctly, because, don't think that this thing's going to be chasing anybody down anytime soon. Right, so moving on to the Javelin. Now, for those of you who are looking to get the Javelin is incredibly expensive. It's around £2,400, and the only way of getting it is by buying the Fleet Mastery package, which is I think it's £11,000 package. But yeah, it's a pretty expensive one. And on top of that, it comes with 0 modules. That means no weapons, no engines, nothing. You have to get all of that stuff after it's in the game. But I'm going to tell you now why it's worth it. I know I made it sound like it's totally not worth it, but it is. Okay, so your Javelin class destroyer is the biggest capital ship a player can officially own without being shot down by the UEE. It's a monster of a ship. It's huge. It's got a hangar on board for a medium class ship. It's got guns, like just the cannons on it chew other capital ships apart. It is designed to be able to destroy things like an Idris. Hell, you could take this thing at 2 Idrises and wipe or Idrisi, or whatever you'd call multiple Idrises, or Idris, and you'd chew them both up, and you'd come out of there looking mean. I mean, this thing's got torpedoes. You got all sorts of turret cannon weapons along the side. It's like a pirate ship met a submarine met a spaceship. It's nuts. It's my favorite ship by far in the terms of what it does, like its role. It's the big beefcake kind of, no one gets in my way or else I'm gonna go straight through them kind of ship. But yeah, it's awesome. The Javelin class destroyer is a real mean ship. So if you're thinking of getting a Javelin class destroyer and you have around, let's say roughly, to cut it even, £14,000, maybe more like 13,000, but let's say you have that much money to spend on this game. One, if you do, thank you for pledging to Star Citizen that amount. It does help the game be developed. It's awesome of you to do that. And 2, you're going to need to get some people you really trust to crew this thing, because I guarantee you almost every other organization that doesn't have one is going to try and sabotage it. I'm not even kidding. They'll get people to join your org and they'll be like, yeah, sure, we'll join your org. And then when the crap hits the fan, they'll turn something important off when this thing's flying through the air. And you may have lifetime insurance on the ship with all these capital ships. You may have lifetime insurance on the hull as of right now. but you will not have it on the modules, meaning it's going to be expensive paying it once every 3 or 6 months, but it's going to take forever for this thing to come back out of the factory because these ships have to be manufactured. So please, would-be capital ship captains out there, be very careful. Even if you're in a Polaris, double check, triple check your crew. Make sure you can trust them. Make sure they're a bunch of nice guys. Well, folks, thank you for sitting through that. That took a little longer than I would have liked. But yeah, that's the Aegis line, the rough sort of like outline of what the ships do, just in case you're looking to invest in a ship. So yeah, thank you for watching, folks. And I know this has been uploaded a little bit late than usual, but I'm a little bit under the weather today. And yeah, I will see you all in the verse. Fly safe, Commanders.